Good morning and welcome to Workforce Skills with John Morse. We're here on our third episode, having fun with this so far, and I've got Jason Bliss on here with me. It's an honor to have you on here. You went through our class, I want to say about a year and a half or so ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. You did not take the painting, which we actually taught. You did go through the life skills class. You did go through the welding at New Freedom. Tell us a little bit about how long were you in prison for, and what made you decide to go to New Freedom and make that change?
So I've done a total of 9 years. I've been in and out through different stints. This last one I did 2.5 years. I made the choice to go to New Freedom. I wanted to better my life. I have had previous work history in welding, so it was an easy choice what elective that I wanted to go through.
So let me ask you this. When you went through it, I mean, there's obviously a cost to taking a welding class, and it's a school outside of New Freedom that they send you to. I believe the state of Arizona paid for that for you to go through that, for guys going through that. It's about $8,000, and it came through Arizona It Works. Is that right?
That is correct. The cost was actually $7,000.
Okay.
So they put me through. I was in the second welding class. The class prior to me, they had, I think it was a week or two shorter than what I got to go. But I went in there very headstrong, determined of what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to get as multiple certifications as possible to widen my variety of work. So I didn't want to be, he can only do this or he can only do that. So I graduated with 12 different certifications.
Okay. And what kind of certifications are these? How many can you get? Did you max out the most you could?
I think there's hundreds of certifications.
Okay.
There's different ones. But the process that I did was dual shield. I did MIG welding, and I did stick welding. Now there were fillet welds in the 2G position, the 3G position, and 4G position, which is vertical, overhead, and then on a table.
Okay.
So it allows you to get into pipe welding if you would like to, different types of metals, aluminum. So they have certifications for everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our course was only 4 weeks long, so it kind of restricts how much we're allowed to do. But it was good enough for me to get in the position that I am today. Okay.
Was it hard for you to, going through the class, and obviously we had our life skills class every Tuesday and Wednesday evening, and then you're doing the actual welding on Saturday and Sunday? Is that how that worked out?
That is correct.
Okay, so they take you off site, they take you there, and so you're in that for 4 weeks. Now, I know we would do our class 4 weeks, we'd take a week off, do another 4 weeks. Did you continue in that class past the 4 weeks, or does it stop right at the 4 weeks and you're done?
So after the 4 weeks, you can continue to go to school if you would like. Your funding pays for a year of schooling from the time that you start. I wanted to go back and give to the other people that were going to be in the class, give them advice, what helped me, maybe would help them get their certifications as well. Mm-hmm. I wanted to give back since there was individuals that gave back to me. Mm-hmm. So I went in the class, helped individuals, whether it be on technique or how I do certain things, and they did phenomenal. I mean, I think there was 3 or 4 people out of that class that also walked out with 12 certifications as well.
Okay. And knowing that you had those certs, did that make it easier for you to get employment after you left New Freedom? Did you have to go out and find a job after leaving New Freedom after your 90 days, or did you get it while you were there?
I got it while I was there. Going through your class, I was fortunate enough. I had one interview on, I believe it was a Monday. Mm-hmm. I go in for the interview. They offer me a position for X amount of dollars. The very next day, I go to another interview. They offered me a position which was $4 less per hour. But based upon the questions that you taught me to ask, I ended up taking the job that was $4 less an hour.
Okay.
They told me after I passed their process of getting my certification, I would bump up to a certain pay, which was higher than the previous position. So it wasn't a problem. I just had to earn it. Mm-hmm. So I took that position. I've been successful there. I've been with the same company for 17 months now.
And the name of that company is?
Core Slab Structures.
Okay. So you've been there how long?
17 months.
17 months.
Yep, October 4th of 2022.
And how has that process looked for you? Because, I mean, that's kind of tough to take a job that pays $4 less. That's quite a bit of money for a week's worth of work. So knowing that you're taking this job for less, but knowing that if you prove yourself, you're going to make more money than you would at the other company, how has that process gone, and what have you done, and what position are you in now?
So their thing is they get several individuals that are certified welders. We weld a lot of rebar to plate, which is its own process. It's you better have your own technique in order to pass it, because rebar is really soft. So they want you to pass that test. Once you pass that test, they'll give you a certified rate. It happened to be higher than what that other company gave me. I started with them just simply as a welder. I was basically bottom of the totem pole. After about 3 months, I stepped into a lead position. They gave me a radio. I started answering calls. I started kind of showing other guys what they needed to do to help elevate themselves within the company. After I hit my 1 year mark, they made me a supervisor of a department. So they trust and believe in my work ethic. They know I'm determined to get the job done. At the end of the day, what matters to me is making sure our productivity gets done so that we produce and they're able to make the money that they need to.
Is that the position you're still in right now, is a supervisor?
That is correct.
Okay. So you're probably making pretty good money right now. And I think you mentioned a little while ago, earlier to me, that you're now eligible for profit sharing within that company too.
That is correct.
Okay. So knowing your background, knowing where you've come from and all the time that you've been locked up, how does that affect your employer hiring you? I mean, how do the other employees look at you? Because they're probably different than you, aren't they?
So I actually met with our hiring manager at New Freedom. He actually came through and was passing out their business card. And I spoke to him personally, told him that I had went through welding. He told me as soon as I completed the program, come speak with him. Okay, fair enough. They believe in giving individuals second chances. We have a lot of individuals that have a past life. They don't care about that. They want to help you succeed in your present and moving forward.
So the other guys that work with you come from the same background then?
There are several, yes.
Okay, gotcha. So do these guys look up to you now as you've become a leader, or how has that affected your relationship with some of the other guys there as far as that have the same background as you and watching you excel and step up the ladder so fast?
I'm pretty humble, so I don't like to say that they look up to me, but they know I'll work hand in hand with them, beside them each and every day. Every guy that's in my department, I genuinely care about. I have a relationship with at work, and I have a relationship with them outside of work. We keep in contact. If they have questions, I do the best to my ability to answer it. My disadvantage is I've never been a supervisor before.
Okay.
I've always been a worker. Go in, get it done. I just had to worry about myself, being there on time, getting the work done that I needed to. You move into a lead position, you don't really have to still really worry about them. They look at what you do and you lead by example. You move into a supervisor, now you have to worry about this whole department. Maybe this guy's going through something in his personal life, and you still need to complete your task in order to accomplish what you need to at work. So you're empathetic to what he's going through, but you have to figure out how to still complete your work task.
Is it easier for you with your background, being a supervisor, being able to relate to these guys? For me, I see, and this is just me personally, a better sense of accountability with the guys around you, because you know the same background, you've been there. If all of a sudden one of them starts falling off and they start using again, or basically screwing up, you guys are able to notice that and hold each other accountable. Does that happen within your work?
Absolutely. And, there's only so much you can do to help the individual, but you can advise for them to get help. And we have helped other individuals and made sure that they got their life back on track. we're a team member, but it's also very much family oriented. We're very close. Like I said, we speak outside of work on our personal levels. So when it comes to our professionalism, we strive to push each other to be the best person that they can.
I know one thing I've seen over the years too, and my question for you next is, out of the people that were at New Freedom with you that went through the welding class, how many of those are you still in contact with? Are they still doing well? Have they fallen off the radar? What's been your...
It's 50-50. You know, I'm really tied up. I'm very career driven right now, and it's affected my personal life, you know, in dating and stuff like that. I see myself walking down a certain path, and if you don't meet the same criteria, then I kind of just lose touch with you. It's not intentional, but I got to stay focused on what I need to get done. You know, you've had discussions in your past podcasts about making up for lost time. Yeah, you can't. So with where I need to go, I need to stay on this path and just continue moving forward for myself. You know, I haven't had the best relationship with my children, and they're extremely proud of me now. I just recently became a grandfather.
Well, congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's very important to my daughter that I stay on this path. She's extremely proud of me. You know, she's 22 years old. Like I said, she just became a mother, and I need to be there to give her advice. I need to be the father that I have not been in past years.
So have you not been there because of being locked up? Is that what's happened?
That is correct.
So you've missed out on a lot.
A lot.
Okay. So it's fortunate that you're there now to be a part of that, and they're seeing that. How has the changes in your life, because you're doing so much better. You're on the right path, you're successful, and it's still a struggle, I'm sure, but how has that changed your relationship with your family? I mean, aside from your daughter, anybody else in the family, has it made a change?
So my brother, who's always kind of been a positive role model, he's always stuck by my side. He's been disappointed plenty, but I have a good, close relationship with him. I spend holidays with him. He's the only relative that I have here in Arizona. He has a son that was 2 years old that he kind of didn't want me around when I wasn't living life straight. Now I go do family time with them. I go and visit them. They live in Mesa. Okay. I go and visit them as often as I can. My mom is extremely proud. My grandmother's proud. I hate the fact that at one point in time in my life, they had to tell stories about me that I know that they weren't proud of.
And now they can share the good.
Absolutely.
That's cool. So you were locked up for a period of time. Do your parents know you don't have your mom, dad, anybody lives here? They're out of state. So how have you reconnected? Did they come out and visit you? What's been that experience? My
mom came out and visited while I was at New Freedom. Ironically, it almost made me leave New Freedom.
Oh, okay.
I was getting ready to start my welding class. I spoke to the individuals there about missing one class so I could spend time with my mother, and they basically told me that if I missed a class, that I would be taken out of the class.
So what did you do?
I self-advocated for myself. You know, there's nothing that can stop you if you're determined. You just have to find an alternate route. So I went and spoke to the individuals about my situation. How could we fix me not being thrown out of class and still get my family time? Fortunate for me, it was on my 30th day. They gave me a pass. I got to see my family. And my mother basically spoke to me and told me, we want you to do this for yourself, even if it included not being able to see her. You know, I made all these bad decisions prior in my life. I didn't ask them for permission. I made all these bad choices, so why not invest in myself and make these good choices for myself?
You know, for some people, doing the 90 days is difficult, you know, at New Freedom. And what I see personally is all that time that you were down for, 90 days is nothing in comparison to that. And it's 90 days to get yourself on track, get yourself back where you need to be to refocus. And for some people going through our classes there and going through the program, it's the first time that they've ever committed to complete something other than their sentence on their own. You know, you've been forced to do everything prior to that. So here you are in a 90-day program and, you know, well, I need to get out. I got to go do this, or I need to see my family. I remember the very first class that we did for not the first class, second class with painting. And we had a couple other contractors hiring out of the class. And this one guy wanted to leave. He's like, I'm a man. I got to provide for my family. And one of the other contractors said, well, I'll give you a job. So he only stayed at New Freedom for about 45 days, about halfway through. 2 weeks after leaving and working for this other painting contractor, this guy ended up getting arrested because he had did something wrong to his wife. And so now he's back in prison. And we made a decision at that point that unless you finish in 90 days, unless you finish our vocational program, we're not going to help you get a job. You're not going to get out and do it. So for me, looking at a guy like yourself, 90 days and focused on it, and you found a way to make it work, and you made it happen, and you followed the rules, that says something about, that's determination, that you wanted something more successful. And now I look at the drive in you and what you're doing and becoming a supervisor. Dude, you're in beast mode right now.
So ironically, to touch base on what you're speaking on right now, when Course Lab offered me the position, they're like, oh, when can you start? And I said, well, I'll start tomorrow. And I was ready to leave the program at that point too. I just wanted to get my life started. I had already graduated welding school. I only had a couple weeks left of New Freedom. And he's like, well, wait. We want you to complete your program. We want, and it says something about the individual, knowing that they can complete tasks. You made that commitment, so let's finish it. And I think it paid off. I mean, it was stressful, but it paid off. It prepared me for where I am today, I feel.
Yeah. It's interesting when we look at guys like yourself going through this and other people, and I've seen thousands go through this program. The guys that focus on completing the 90 days, and it can be difficult because you're ready to get your life going. And, we've talked to others, well, I got to make up for lost time. No, it's not about that. You got the rest of your life to make up for that time. It's not the end of the world. And so what I see is guys struggle with this, but if they can focus on going to the life skills class, me as a contractor hiring guys, I don't want the best painter. It's not the best welder we're looking for. We're looking for the best employee, the guy who's got his head screwed on right, the guy that can help others around them, help them build up to that next level. That's what we're looking for. So for you to complete that, and I know it's like, man, I can start tomorrow, but no, we don't want that. We want to know that you finished this program, that you did what you needed to. Because for some guys, there's some guys in there that are messed up more than you, more than me, that need the help before they get the job. And what we're teaching in this class, and you went through the classes with me, and I know there was a time where you were sitting probably the middle to the back, and then eventually you just sat in the front every class that we were doing in the life skills class.
I started in the front the whole time.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. It's
Your front left.
Okay, yeah. You and there was another guy sitting. We won't say any names, but it's interesting when I'm teaching class and I see guys and they got this brick wall up, and you can tell they're fresh out of prison. They're new in the program. Nobody can tell them what to do or how to do it. And when we teach something as simple as life skills of, just take a shower every day, just show up to work, create a support system for yourself. That's what we're looking for. And for you to pay attention in the class and learn from it. And I know a lot of times you don't have to agree with everything. It's just common sense. That's all we're teaching, And one of the biggest things we teach is having a support system, going through this. What does your support system look like now? Because you've got your people in New Freedom that helped you through this 90 days. They're mentoring you. They're teaching you. You've got peer support people there. You got people just like you in there that you're all helping each other. What do you do now that you're out there in the real world? I know you come to my office sometimes. We'll sit down and talk when you're in a tough spot. But who helps you through all the struggles? And there's a lot of speed bumps out there.
So I have you. I have my family. I have New Freedom. I have individuals that actually work for you that I can reach out to if need be, because we are on the same path that we want to succeed and move forward with our life. What made me so close to you is during our life skills class, I made up this resume, and you're gonna remember. I made up this resume, and it was very cookie cutter, kind of taken off the internet. I was super excited. I printed it, brought it up to you, and you're like, no. And I was like, okay. I did another one, brought it to you, and you're like, absolutely not. And you're like, hey, email me your resume. And you designed your own resume for me based upon what was on there.
I remember
And
that.
it was exquisite. And you're like, hey, do you mind if I pass it around? And, me being humble enough, absolutely. I passed it around, and it was a little embarrassing at first.
I think I passed around the original with the new
Yes.
one that I did so they could see the difference, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
I still have that resume on my phone.
Do you really?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
But that's what drew me close to you. I was like, this is a guy that actually cares about me. He cares about my well-being. He's going to help me move forward in my life. He didn't have to do this. You weren't getting paid. You were donating your time as it was. And you took extra time to develop this resume. And then you extended that out to the rest of the class even, that you would help other individuals. So that touched my heart. It was special to me. That's what started our relationship. The individuals that you've had on this podcast so far, we don't talk every day, but I follow them. I make sure, they're doing well. I genuinely care about those individuals along with other individuals that haven't been on the podcast, but I've went through the program with, and now guys that I work with.
And I'm sure there's still guys coming out of prison that you can mentor now and teach as they come out, or guys working for you. How are you helping guys now, knowing what you've been through, where you work at? Some of these guys are probably struggling. They've been where you've been through. How are you helping them? How do you hold people accountable around you?
I just expect for them to put their best foot forward. Everything work-wise, we can get through together. It's ironic. One of the things you teach in life skills, to be a good leader, bring other individuals up to where you're at. And before I was never like that. I wanted to be the all-star. I wanted to be the individual that, I know how to do this and I can do this. And, it was actually recently, I think in the last 2 weeks, I've trained guys to use different machinery in our shop, whether it was an iron worker, a bandsaw, the correct regulations to have a torch on and cut with. Some individuals got overlooked by previous supervisors. So now I want to be the one to be able to help them. I hope their career continues with Course Lab. And like I said, we're very family oriented, but if they decide to go somewhere else, I want them to know as much as they possibly can.
And be successful.
Yes. I want to put them in the best position that I can.
It's amazing how many guys, like you said, want to be at the top of their game, make themselves look better than everybody else, the all-star of the team. And it's all about them, how many points they can score. It's, for me, same thing, and I've probably said this in class. I want to lift everybody to my level. How many guys can I get to that next level, to where I'm at, to be successful? It's for me, with my business and the company, it's not about the money anymore. It's about how big I can grow the company so I can put more people to work. 98% of the people that work for me all came out of prison. And I don't care who knows that and who's out there that's going to watch this and see that and think, oh, that's messed up. No, it's not, because there are so many individuals that just made a mistake. They made one split decision that sent them down the wrong path. And how many of us out there have never been locked up and have done things that we could have been locked up for? I look back at how many times I drove drunk. I've never gotten a DUI. And how many people go through our classes that they're in there because of DUIs or extreme DUIs? That could have been me in that class very well, just right next to everybody else. I don't see myself as anybody different than anybody else going through the program or through the classes, or being locked up for that matter. But I think what needs to happen is we need more contractors like myself, like Coors Lab, that's willing to give guys an opportunity. You just need that opportunity. You need someone that believed in you, that said, hey, here's a guy, I think he can make it, and show an invested interest in it. And it sounds like your company is investing in you and the guys like you.
I was fortunate. The way I explain it is, you were the first person to actually believe in me. And you're like, well, Jason, you've always had it inside of you. We just had to, fine tune it. After I got to Course Lab, my superintendent saw what I brought to the table, and he's fine tuned me to get me to do as he wants as well. But knowing that I have a company support, that they believe in me, yes, it's not even about the compensation. Compensation comes as you build up your position as you move up. But knowing that they trust me, that I can make decisions within the company and they'll have my back based upon that. I never made decisions based upon other people other than myself or my family. So it's weird having people of power that, we'll stand by your side.
That's awesome. So being there and moving up in position, and as you have the support of the people above you and the president of the company, I know he's very supportive of you coming on here and doing this with me today. As you look at this, as you've grown in the company, have you ever had to ask for a raise, or has it been given to you because you've just proven yourself?
So there's a 50-50 here.
Okay.
I didn't directly ask. I didn't say, well, I'm due for a raise. I don't think you should ever approach in that manner. I did hit a point where I asked, what more would you like me, or what do you need to see for me to get a pay increase? I wanted to know what his thoughts were. What obstacles do I need to overcome in order to get to where I want to be? It only happened one time. All the rest just came naturally.
But even that's not really asking for a raise. What do I need to do so I can prove myself to you, basically?
And I'll tell anybody, anytime that you want to get to a certain point, self-advocate, gain as much knowledge as possible. Like I said, I feel like it's rude if I walked up to you and said, John, when are you going to give me a raise? But if I pick your brain as like, hey, what would you like me to learn in order for me to move up to the next level? You're like, oh, okay, now this guy's ambitious. He wants to move up. And I took in as much knowledge as I could to get to where I am today.
It amazes me how many guys want a raise. They want more money. They'll ask for it. They'll beg for it. They'll do everything it takes except what it takes to do it, to get it, the action behind it. It's interesting how many guys I've given raises to or I've hired, and they say, well, that should have been me, and I deserve it, and why'd he pick him, or why'd he get the raise and I didn't? It's not, why didn't you? Take a step back and look at that person and say, what is he doing different that I'm not doing? What do I need to do to step up my game to get to where I need to be? That's what I'm looking for. It's if I don't land a job, well, why did the other company land that job? What do I need to change about the way we're bidding a job or how I'm running my company to land more work? That's how I look at what we do. And it's no different than an employee. What that guy got the position. I've had guys get jealous because we moved people up into a superintendent or into an estimating position. Well, I should have gotten it. I've been here longer. Well, no. What are you doing differently than them? What do you need to do to step up your game? For me, the one thing that always impressed me with you, we listen to certain motivational speeches in class and different things, and there's a few that stand out to me, and one of them's called Stay Hungry. You're always hungry. And I don't mean food, but...
Well, I'm hungry there, too.
Yeah, okay. But you're hungry for more, and you're always trying to improve yourself and do better, and you're grinding. It's... What are you doing more at work than the other guys that you're out working them, obviously. You're doing something. I know you're dealing with some medical stuff, and you're still pushing yourself.
They tell me I need to find hobbies.
Okay.
So, and I'm not recommending this to everybody, but because my children are grown, both of them are adults now, and going through life skills class, everybody says show up 10 minutes early for work. I'm at work an hour and a half, 2 hours early.
Oh, wow.
I'm the first one in the door, and sometimes, most of the time, the last one to leave if need be. I will do whatever it takes. I had a situation on Friday. I had clocked out and left, and I was halfway down the road, and I got a call, hey, this is what's going on. I'm spinning around, and right back I go. I didn't ask, well, are you going to
Wasn't even a question. You just knew you had to.
It's second instinct. They've already showed me their hand and showed their appreciation of me. So now I'm going to do the same in return. Fortunate, it was pretty simple. I went through, seen that they would have the parts to recast what we needed to, and went about my day. Like, I absolutely love what I do. It doesn't feel like a job to me. My superintendent, he knows about everything you can imagine about steel. So I try and take in as much of his knowledge as possible as well. I kind of idolize him in that perspective. I want to know everything he knows. And if he can teach me, I'm willing to learn.
When you love what you do, it's not work anymore.
That's
It's
correct.
just, that is your hobby. You don't need a hobby when you've got something this good that you're passionate about, so you keep grinding, you keep pushing. It's amazing the path that you've been on since I met you and where you're at. Looking at some of the guys that came out of New Freedom in your class, and I know some of them are locked up again. Some are back on the streets or on drugs. We have to, I know for me personally, when I left where I used to live to come out here to Arizona, I left family behind. I turned my back on people because I knew I had to do what was best for me because they were dragging me down. It's the same thing with you as you've gone through your life. There's been people you've had to leave behind. Your past life of who you used to run with and hang out with, you've left that behind. Coming out of prison, you left that behind. Coming out of New Freedom, now you've had to leave some of those guys behind. You have to continually move forward. Our friends will always change. The people in our lives will always change. There's certain people that'll be with us forever. Whether I'm a part of your life forever or not, at least I've been an impact on it. Yeah, I hope so. Because you're successful and you're doing the right thing. But the second somebody falls off or they're doing the wrong thing or they're back in the streets, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not going to be a part. You got to cut them loose. I'll never be a part of that again. And it's interesting, the growth that you've been through and what you've done, and you've had to turn your back on certain people. Has that been difficult for you? Or is it easy because you know what you want in life?
So it has been hard at certain times with certain individuals. When you go through incarceration and then rehab, some of them you knew while you were incarcerated, and some you just got really close with while you were in rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're going to have this friend forever. Unfortunately, once you start to see them falling off, you want to detach yourself. I mean, the old saying in rehabilitation is if you stick around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get the haircut.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to detour myself. I'm a recovering addict.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not recovered. So every day is a struggle at times. I have my own battles to deal with. I can't fight someone else's battles for them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it is easy to detach in that way, but it hurts. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. But it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's tough on me too when I've hired guys out of New Freedom to work for us and they start going back to that old behavior, that old life while they're working for me. It's difficult to see that deterioration as they just go down that wrong path. And you want to help everybody. You want to save everybody. At least that's how I feel. And you can't. There's some people that just, it's cliche. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's the same thing with an addict or anybody else in that old life. You can show them the right way, but you can't make them do it unless they want it.
Well, and with addiction, it's really tricky. Everybody's addiction is different based upon what they're addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go through different levels, and some people believe that they're ready to change their life, but then they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They get hanging around other individuals that maybe they care about or maybe that they love, and they don't learn to detach from them. Well, next thing you know, they're using. Mm-hmm. People that go through recovery, you need to understand that you may fail once, you may fail 6 times. It doesn't matter. As long as you continue to try and get the help that you need, you're still trying. And one day you will be fed up, you will be tired, and you'll put an end to it.
Tired of being tired.
Yes.
Yeah. No, addiction's a bad thing, and everybody deals with it differently. I know for some people, hitting that rock bottom, some people have to hit rock bottom more than once, twice, 3 times. I've hit it a few times in my life. I've been broke a few times in my life. I've come back a few times in my life. It's how we recover and how we come back. And finally, you hit a point to where enough's enough. I'm tired of this. It's time to do something.
Tired of starting over.
Exactly. And once you hit that point, I think when it's that moment. We think each time is, okay, this is it, this is it. I think for me, it's like, I haven't had a drink in 4 years. I know I had a problem with alcohol. And what's crazy is prior to that, I think I was drinking for about 8-9 years, but prior to that, I quit for 8-9 years at one point. And I say I quit. This time, these 4 years, it's not that I quit. I didn't quit this time. I just accepted the fact that it's no longer part of my life. It's not who I am and never will be, and I'm not going to let it. I don't need to have a drink. I don't have to have that in my life, and I think I finally realized that. So for me, it wasn't, going to AA or doing anything special. It was just, okay, this is a day I'm stopping. I've got to get my head together. I got to get right back on the path. And that's what it took for me. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's addiction is different. Everybody's moment of quitting or rock bottom, it's all going to be different. But when you hit that point to where enough is enough and I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's never going to be there.
You get sick of starting over.
You do, and what's interesting for me is the way my business changed, the way my life changed, my relationship with my wife changed, everything changed. And what's funny is everybody around me could see the problem except for me. I thought nobody knew what was going on. Man, when my mom showed up to my office and pulled in back of the shop and she said, hey, there's an issue, there's a problem, I can see it. And I'm thinking I'm hiding it from everybody. And I saw my mom maybe once or twice a month. That was it. And she knew what was going on. There's a problem. It's time to make a change. But nobody could tell me until I was ready to accept it myself. And so once you accept that and you're ready to make that change, then you can move on. That's what we need. So hopefully, we can stay on the right path. And, there are the guys that they're just not going to make it this time. I know the first year at New Freedom, teaching class, there's 25 people today that are dead that went through my classes at New Freedom. And I think there was one in your class, if I remember correct. Mm-hmm. And him and a girl got in an accident. And we're not going to bring up the details, but
yeah, they were in my class, but there was also one that passed while I was at New Freedom.
Yeah. I've had a few people while at New Freedom, and they get out on pass after that 30 days and they go out and they can't handle it.
That's correct.
You got to come up with a support system. You got to have people you can talk to, people you can call. I know there's been times where you've been struggling. You've called me, John, can I come to your office and talk? You've got to have that support system. So I have my support system. I have people I can talk to. I also in class share my story about my addiction and different things about my life. And that's what holds me accountable. Everybody around me knows that I have a problem with alcohol. That way, if I go out to lunch and I'm having a rough day and I think I'm going to order something, everybody around me is going to know. They're going to say, John, what are you doing? So it holds me accountable. So keep people around you that are going to keep you accountable. That's why I love what we've created, the culture within our company. And it sounds like it's becoming a huge culture within your company. And you're kind of the leader for this, it sounds like, amongst others. If everybody around you is holding you accountable, you're holding them accountable, it builds a whole new culture. It's for the better, for the stronger. That doesn't mean you're not going to have that one-off that's going to screw up and go back and use, or something's going to happen.
Mistakes happen.
It does. But it's how we recover from that. Can we help that person? Just because you decide to use that one time doesn't mean it's into the world. If we can pull you back in, okay, you did it. Let's get up past this. Let's move on. Let's get you back on the right track. It doesn't have to be the end. But I think for some people, they think, I used once. I'm just going to keep doing it. No, let's get them back on track. So how can we make that change in their life? Coming on here today, I didn't know we were going to sit here and talk about addiction the whole time, but it seems like that's the topic of it. We all go through that. For me, it wasn't at a younger age. Wasn't addicted to drugs at a young age. It was as I got older in my life. It was probably my 40s and into right before 50s when I started realizing I had a problem. Something had to change. I was going to lose everything if I didn't. And that's what helped me get out of where I was. What could you tell others out there knowing your background? And, somebody could be listening to this right now and they know your story because they're living it or they were that person. And maybe it's just you going back to your younger self back then. What could you tell somebody out there, or somebody that's sitting on their rack right now or on the streets or, out there driving to work and they're struggling, thinking about using again? What could you say that could make a difference to them, or what advice would you give?
So drugs has always been a part of my life. The beginning part of my life, I was into sales. Never really had any addiction issues. But once I got into my 30s, I got using more heavily. Then I changed to a different substance and it grabbed a hold of me. Now I elect not to be around individuals that use. Mm-hmm. But I also, if I know someone's using and they come and touch base with me or ask what can I do to help or point them in the right direction, I have individuals that I can point them in the right direction to help them start their journey in recovery. I'm not just going to shun them off because they're dealing with their issues. At one point, I was that individual and I needed help. And maybe if I would have had someone earlier in my life point me in the correct direction, it would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of heartache, and maybe could have started my journey of being successful earlier.
You know, it's interesting because for me, hiring out of this program and what we do, I will hire guys out of this program 10 times more than I would a guy walking through my front door to apply for a job, knowing what I'm getting, because I see the hunger in your eyes. I see the want for something better. There's just, I look at you and I think that there's no stopping you. You know, you want more and you want to better yourself every day.
So not to get too far into it, going through your class, you talk about credit scores, you talk about checking accounts, you talk about buying cars, and I was kind of your rebel.
You were.
I decided, well, I'm going to tweak what John wants me to do and do this, do that. But I did. When I graduated, I had a 488 credit score. I'm over a 600 now.
Nice.
You know, I just purchased my third vehicle.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, it's been hard, trials and tribulations you learn, and you're doing it your way is probably a little bit easier.
It's a recipe.
But, you know, everybody's recovery is different. Everybody's way of success is going to be different as well. So I didn't really stray away from your blueprint. I just wanted to see if I could kind of do certain things on my own. Your way would have definitely been easier. But I was able to succeed even through the trials and tribulations and the modifications that I made. So, you know, I want other individuals to know that they can succeed even if they make modifications to this blueprint. Don't ever give up. Don't ever feel like you're going to fail. You just got to have the right mindset. Be determined. Push through it. And, you know, have the like-minded individuals around you. You know, I've came to you in distress, like, oh man, I totaled the car and this is what's going on. You're like, oh, okay. Right afterwards, I go and buy a truck. I drive it today and now I'm dealing with repairs. Another individual spoke on, he got a little over his head with another vehicle. Well, I paid cash for this truck. You know, I don't have a monthly payment on it. So now it's a little easier to pay for the repairs because I don't have a car payment as well.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about the mistakes you made by not following the recipe that I put out there for you, the blueprint. But I guess the analogy I would use is I read it somewhere, heard it somewhere. I think Thomas Edison was interviewed by a reporter one time. How did it feel to fail 1,000 times? And he looked at the reporter and said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways to do something different or not to do it. That's all. That's how you have to look at everything in your life. It's not that you failed. You just found different ways, and it's a lesson. If you can look at everything that happens in your life as a lesson, you're better for it, whether it worked out or not. And sometimes you've got to make the best decision at that moment with the information you have. Now, down the road, the information might change, and you would change your decision. But you made the best decision you could at that time. And sometimes we're like, I'm a man, I can do it on my own. But no, we're a brotherhood. We can help each other. You know, we're a team is how we have to look at it. You're not on your own on this at any point. There's always somebody that's going to be there to help you. And you know that.
It's not handouts, it's hand-ups.
Yes. There are no handouts. I'm going to give you a hand up. Yeah. There's nothing for free. And it's funny, I've had people call me from the class and, hey, John, you said you'd help me out. I got in trouble. I need $500 to get an attorney for this next thing. No, dude, I'm out. I'm not here to help with that. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to teach you. I'm not going to give you something just for free. It doesn't work that way. And guys like that didn't listen in class. They didn't learn like they should have. You definitely listen in class. You definitely learn from it. And it shows in your everyday life now of what you're doing. And it hasn't been easy, and nothing in life is easy. It's never going to be easy. If it was, everybody'd be doing it. So it's keep grinding, keep pushing on what you're doing, and you will continue to be successful. You know, I saw something the other day. I think it said, everybody wants to be successful until they see what it takes. And they're like, no, there's no shortcuts to this. There's no fast track on this. You just got to keep grinding. You got to keep pushing and keep doing what you're doing. and you will get better. It does get easier as time goes on. And the other thing too is you talk about how you've talked to some of the other guys that are successful and you keep in contact with them. I'm a firm believer that if I'm around negative people, I'm going to become negative. If I'm around positive people, I will become more positive. And that's what I try to keep in my life. I try to keep the positivity in my life. It's not to say negative things aren't going to happen. It's going to. There's going to be problems. I'm dealing with one of our trucks broke down or the battery died and all these other issues. You just deal with it and you move on. You become stronger with it.
Take a negative, turn it into a positive.
You have to find a way to. Definitely. So, no, keep doing what you're doing. And I just want you to know I'm extremely proud of you and what you've accomplished and what you've done. And the fact that you've put me as part of a mentorship, a part of your support system, I'm honored to be a part of that with you. And I'm sure the other people out there that are part of that, they're as well honored and to watch your success and where you're at.
I appreciate it.
And I'm just hearing about your mom coming out and visiting you and what I'm sure she's proud of you. And your daughter's got to be proud of you.
Absolutely.
To become a grandfather and be a part of that child's life now and not have them come visit you looking at you through that glass or behind bars. That makes a big difference.
It does.
It has to, and it's got to make you proud.
I am proud. For the life that I've lived, I'm extremely proud of my children. I'm proud of what they've been able to accomplish while I was making bad decisions. Mm-hmm. My daughter and my son are new young adults, and they're doing wonderful. I couldn't be more proud.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'd like to say to anybody out there listening or watching this video is there is help out there for them, no matter what your addiction is or what you're going through in life. And if you don't know where to turn to, if you don't know where to go, reach out to us through our website. We will direct you in the right direction. It starts with you reaching out. No one's going to help you except for you. You've got to want it first. And that's the only way something changes within yourself or within your life. So just know that we're here for you. We're here to help you. Some of these stories you might relate to. It's everybody has an issue. Everybody has a problem. How can we help each other become stronger together? So reach out, ask for help. That's where it starts first. Doesn't matter where you're at or what part of the journey you're at in your life. We're here to help you. So thank you for listening today and being a part of our podcast. And Jason, thank you for being on here with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome.